Keenan Lam is a full-time cinematographer specializing in travel and lifestyle content. He creates exciting and dynamic videos for various brands worldwide with the objective of showcasing their new product or service in an innovative way.
In the summer of 2022, he amassed 80,000 followers in 1 month on Instagram, creating a viral piece of content. This led to several opportunities working with Skillshare and becoming a global brand ambassador.
So let's dive into the journey how Keenan went from creating free videos and travel vlogs to becoming a global brand ambassador.
Let's take you back 2017. You went to Asia, traveling with friends, you came back. Then you went to Iceland and you decided to shoot for free for some companies to get some things, I guess, in return. But what did that look like?
The trip was with Sam Newton Media. You guys know who he is. Luke, watch Luke. A girl called Alyssa.
Okay.
Anyway, so we went on this trip and we were going to just contact a bunch of companies and just tell them, we're going to make you guys a video and we just want to have an experience for free. So we did one for like a food tour company. So we just went around Reykjavik in Iceland, just trying out local food, local delicacies. We did like a snowmobiling experience. We got taken up one of the glaciers, just went snowmobiling. What else did we do? We did one for volcano huts.
So did you just reach out to them, like cold email them, or...
Yeah.
Did anyone already have a contact?
No, so none. We were all pretty much just fresh into the industry, blinded by this influencer lifestyle, you know. And we emailed, DM'd, Instagram. Yeah, then some of them responded, and we're just like, yeah, let's just do it. So it was like a lot of outreach and stuff before, and then we did some stuff for the car company, which we hired as well. So it was pretty much a free-ish trip, except for the speeding ticket that I got. I was 17 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Whoa.
£220.
Wow.
Any points on your
No points. They don't care. They don't care.
Oh.
And then I pooed myself. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you can say what you like. Yeah.
Well, I shout myself because obviously I wasn't insured on the car. They also saying that only like 18 people go to jail a year in Iceland.
Yeah, it's really low.
I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
So I guess that month, that was September 2017, which was quite a big month for you because you told me you got a project for £1,000, your first video project.
Yes.
So that's like good money for kind of one of the first videos, especially coming from the trip of doing free content for more than like 6 companies.
Watch Luke, very good friend, Watch Luke. He was already shooting for Specsavers. He was shooting a just glasses campaign. So Specsavers, if you don't know, are UK-based opticians. They create glasses. They stock other designer brands. Anyway, Luke was shooting content for their glasses for social media. In September, there's London Fashion Week. They reached out to Luke and said, do you want to shoot London Fashion Week for Specsavers? And do you know a videographer? And Luke's at that time was like, oh yeah, no Keenan. Yeah, so we flew back to the UK 3 days early from Iceland. So we were meant to leave on like the 30th, I think. We left on the 10th, flew straight back, had to call my brother to get the clothes for us from my house. So to get like a shirt and a pair of jeans. Luke lives across the road from me. So he had to get some clothes for Luke as well. Met my brother at a random station. He took all of our bags for us.
Oh, wow.
Like, I forgot about this, but respect to my brother for coming. He took all of our bags, and then me and Luke took our camera kit to London Fashion Week, which is, I think, Charing Cross area, somewhere around there. Yeah, that was the first project that I ever did, and I got paid £1,000. I didn't negotiate because of that time. Well, I mean, still £1,000 is like good money for one video job for just starting out. Yeah, we just filmed around. Had no idea what I was doing. Like, it was like a completely new experience.
Can we put this video on top?
I'll send it to you guys.
You can send it.
When I watch it back now, and I'm like, oh, what was I doing? It's got some cool like zoom transitions, I think, you know, some speed ramps.
I'm
not
sure
very
they were
fluid.
happy with it.
That's the thing. They were happy with it.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, really. So
let's say at that point, how many videos had you like put together, let's say?
Or
I guess, did you even have a portfolio at that time when, or did they just trust Luke with bringing you on the project?
I think they must have trusted Luke. I probably had a couple of videos that I made for the clients on the Iceland trip, but all I really had were travel videos that I made for myself. So I went to Iceland with a school trip. I made a long vlog for that. That was like 12 minutes, like way too long. Like there was about 30-second, like multiple 30-second segments of me and my mate just dancing. Like no concept.
Nothing's changed. Yeah.
No, well, nothing's changed in terms of the dancing, but no concept of like people, you know, their attention spans just getting shorter and shorter. Made a video when I went to Finland, and then when we went traveling in Asia. So overall, like in my life,
all just vlog based stuff.
That was all just vlog stuff. I mean, no, some of it was like part cinematic with vlog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in those days, it was kind of like Sam Calder days.
Was that a Sony A7S2 or A7 II?
I had an A7S, the original one.
The A7S.
Yeah, I bought it. No, it wasn't even CX. It was like Camera Jungle or something like that.
Was that in Asia?
Great.
No. That's the thing. It could have been imported from Asia. Who knows?
Yeah.
But no, it's actually, I bought it in the UK, and I had a what lens that I have, the 35 Zeiss, you know, a little small one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I actually bought a Samyang 14mm from MPB.
Mate, that is the
Hey.
lens.
Banging lens, manual
Big up
focus
MPB.
though.
That's the lens, mate.
That is a lens.
For anyone that doesn't know, we can talk about this later, but we've all are part of the UK Shooters team, and we've worked on multiple projects and events with MPB
Yes.
in the past year and more. So that's very cool, actually.
Future sponsor.
Yeah.
Let's say you come back from Asia, making no money, you fall into this job of getting paid $1,000 to make a video.
Mm.
Then that leads to you getting a full-time position for this influencer couple.
Yeah, that was a bit later on actually. I mean, if we're taking just a couple steps back, what my plan was after leaving sixth form. All I knew at that point, all my parents knew was university. So what could I do at university? Was trying to think of multiple things. Don't know why photography was never an option. I just felt like it was a bit of in my head, I was like, you know, I've studied like maths, biology, chem, physics at sixth form. Why am I going to do photography at uni? So it's kind of engineering was my way to go. So I took a gap year out. At the end of that gap year, I kind of created this video for, you know, £1,000, and I thought maybe that there could be something here. So then after that was probably about from October until Feb, so about 4 or 5 months of just like trying to reach out to everyone, saying I can make a video for them. Like I'd reach out to Nike and Samsung, which is funny, like it's a full circle thing, but it's like, I actually had to delete those messages off the message chat just in case they had seen it. Not that it matters, but like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, there's me with like 2 videos in my portfolio.
Like, if you have the screenshot, that could be funny once you actually get
I don't know if I have it. I might have it, you know. I think I sent it to Luke somewhere. But it's just crazy. And then, so that was like a full 5-month slog of just trying to hustle for work. And like me having that £1,000 job kind of gave me a bit of a false sense of like what I was actually worth at that time. So imagine I've done all these free videos and a £1,000 video. So just trying to negotiate with random people for videos, and sometimes it'd be like 100 quid, 150 quid. Relationship with my family was not good at this point either, like really bad. Because obviously my parents, all they knew was university, right?
Traditional route,
And then now it's a completely new route. I'm not actually doing that well. I actually owed my parents $4,500 from traveling because I had used their card. I saved up and worked, but I spent all of it. So I owed my parents that. And obviously I was living at home. They were like, why is he not going to uni? And every day I'd be like, oh yeah, I've reached out to a couple companies. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean?
It's that thing, isn't it, of telling them you're doing something when like you are, but you're not really. And it's like, but they don't see it. They just see it as you being at home. Yeah, exactly.
So all that happened, it was like pretty tough at one point. And then it got to a point where I applied for multiple jobs, and I got this one for an influencer couple who were always so nice to me, very, very kind. They were a rich influencer couple. I had a full-time editing job with them just to edit their vlogs. They flew me out to Cape Town for my first ever job.
Jeez.
I don't know. And it was like a big house. I was like, whoa. I just flew 12 hours on my own down to Cape Town. Met them. They were very, very kind to me, like very, very welcoming. I had dinner with like them, and sometimes it was a bit weird because like I'd have to film like kissing a little bit. And
I literally like now seeing how far you came, thinking about Keenan standing there with a camera.
Because the job was 30 grand. Like for someone who was, how was I, like 19? Like, 19. Crazy. 30 grand is a lot of money.
Yeah, so they're paying you monthly basically.
They're paying me bi-weekly.
Oh, wow.
So I was getting paid every 2 weeks, like $1,000 and a bit. They got to a point at one time, I think I was on like Lion's Head, I think that's in Cape Town. And some guy, like I was taking a photo and to like kiss it. And like it was a bit awkward, and some guy came up to me and was like, yo man, like are you their photographer? And at that point, like in my head I was like, I don't really want to be their photographer. Like I'm happy to maybe like edit their vlogs and stuff, but like I don't want to be that person. So that kind of like put this like thing into motion where I was like, I kind of want to not be someone's.
You're almost like at their beck and call.
It is true, yeah.
You know? And it's like with like Gary Vee and like how he had D-Rock was with him all the time, filming him like day after day after day. Like you're essentially like with them 24/7.
Yeah, it is long.
So,
and obviously, because it was full time for me, I had to trek from where I live it was actually in Notting Hill. They converted basically an apartment into an office. And then sometimes I'd finish the vlogs and not really have that much else to do. And then sometimes I'd feel like, either I had to just fill my time or I had to get something else done. And it wasn't really like ideal for me.
So you'd be with them on a daily basis, like?
Well, sometimes I'd be traveling, but yes, it would be 5 days a week. Slowly, I managed to be like, I'll work at home for one day, and then at the end, I went like freelance with them.
Right.
Yeah. I think I was there for maybe 3 months, 2.5, 3 months. It was a big move for me to be like, you know, leave a 30k job.
Of course.
And just be like, because I didn't like it. I didn't like being there. Even though I did my job well, I didn't like.
And that's the key thing. About anything,
so I was like,
how much you're getting paid.
I mean, at the end of the day, I was like to them, I can leave because right now you're going to be paying me a ton of money and I'm not even working for half of that because some of the stuff I've already done. You know, and it's got to a point where they don't have any more videos for me to edit because they haven't traveled enough. So I said to them, it's kind of a win-win for you. You just pay me for whatever video I edit.
Let's say because your relationship with parents, I guess, after that got a bit better, right? So then again, you're like, oh, hey, mom, after like 3 months, I left the job.
Well, I mean, I spoke to them. My parents have always been they're not strict with me, which I'm very, very fortunate for. But they also just know what they know. I mean, that's the same thing with everyone, right? If they only know this one thing, then that's all they're going to expect, especially their child to do. I think ultimately it's like, if I can go out and do something else but still get paid by them, it's fine. And plus at this point, like by the time I had left, I'd actually paid back that $4,500 to parents, everything that I owed them. And that to me was like a big weight on my shoulders because me as a person, I've never really liked owing people things or even borrowing off my parents because they've done so much for me already. So I paid it all back, which kind of I think was like a big positive for me.
Amazing.
And then I actually went on a trip to Hong Kong with Mike and Luke, as in Mike, UK Shooters Mike. Big up.
And the visuals.
And I bought my dream camera there, the 1DX Mark II. Yeah. And
Sigma, right?
Sigma 24 1.4. I think it's like 4.2K overall. And at that time, that camera was the shit, mate.
Yeah.
Mate.
And it still is in some ways.
120 FPS full HD, mate. That's crazy. That's all I filmed in. No ND either. I was just telling people that if I wanted to make it dark, I just ramp up the shutter speed.
I do this.
I still do it sometimes as well.
It works, you know. It works.
But so I bought the camera, I paid back everything, and I think it was then when like my parents started to realize, you can actually make some money out of this. And then it kind of just snowballed.
And so you're in Hong Kong with the boys, you bought the camera, you're making money, or you've had a taste of making money, let's say, and you've got a dream set up. How do you then like put that into action with like?
Because you were kind of then I'm guessing a good network with being basically best friends with Luke, of course, since childhood, but then also Mike coming into the picture.
At this point, it's like 2018 now, I think. And that's when I started to create like a lot better videos for, I was actually creating the videos for UK Shooters Meets, pretty much every single one, which I don't do now.
For anyone watching or listening, we're all part of the UK Shooters team. So can you just explain what that is and how did you get into the team?
Just speak to this camera.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, anyway, UK Shooters is basically a community or a hub for UK Shooters is basically a community or a hub for creatives to come network, hang out, chill. We host photography events in and around the UK. They're super fun. We provide models, we provide locations, provide music, just good vibes. Everyone comes along and pretty much has a great time. And it's run by a bunch of us. I can't remember the exact number. Branch offs. Is it 9?
Yeah.
9. We also have branch offs, like obviously like UK Portraits team, Spinners, which is like long exposure, steel wool kind of photography. And also we have ones in other countries as well. It's basically just a massive network of creatives that hosts events for other creatives to come along. You don't even have to be a creative. You can just be a normal person coming along
with your phone and take some photos of the models that we have there.
Exactly.
Damn, that was a good explanation.
I remember being in the photography show and we had to explain that like 100 times a day to like
Where it's come from.
old men, yeah. And yeah, that's it.
I think at the time, Shooters was like on its blow up stage for sure. Like there was hundreds of people turning up to events.
That's why they became ticketed, because they couldn't control.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone
So we're having like maybe like 100, 200 people come to an event.
That's crazy.
And I was creating, you know, Halloween videos, all of that stuff, but it was the Samsung road trip where I think we hit up maybe 5 different locations, I think. This is when I fully put my 1DX to the test. And 120 FPS, love that. And yeah, just created a bunch of videos for the team. It was great fun. We all had like a really good time. The videos turned out really good. I turned them around quickly. Very much kind of like my style. Yeah. Where I think that's where a lot of it has developed from. Is creating these event videos. Funny thing, actually, I haven't thought about that. But yeah, it kind of is. At that time, Shooters was obviously, you know, being sponsored by amazing brands. And it was just, for me, it was always that kind of foundation that's like bread and butter kind of thing that I knew was always going to be there, that I would always have money coming into my account creating the videos. Like it wasn't always the most, but I knew it was like relatively consistent. And then Mike had a chat with Cyrus and Luke, who were part of the team at the time. I wasn't, so it's just those 3. And they invited me to pretty much be the video guy for the UK Shooters team, which I was very, very grateful for. And that's obviously been a massive part of my life, like my career. And it always has been that kind of like foundation, that kind of backup thing I've always had in my pocket, just to know that I will be fine. You know?
Yeah. I think it was like the Sony road trip, the Edinburgh, Birmingham ones, the ones that we watched on loop at the photography.
Oh, yeah.
They were the ones I think that like, because they're so good.
Thank you.
Even now, they are so good to watch. And I think they were perhaps that maybe, from me looking from the outside, even though I've known you this whole time, but like, I think they were a little bit of a stepping stone, let's say, to other stuff that caught other brands' attention that were looking at what Shooters was doing, basically.
The cool thing about Shooters is that it doesn't put the people who like run it at the forefront. So like everyone knows exactly who they are, which I think is quite nice because it makes it more community focused. But it also has been, you know, it is nice to be able to be recognized as the person who creates the videos and stuff, you know, like even posting it, having your name on the tag. So I think, you know, all of that stuff helps. It helps the kind of getting yourself out there, getting your brand out there.
Do you remember your favorite kind of project when you were the video guy, let's say, that you've done with Shooters?
My favorite video, I think, was the Halloween Sony one. There was 2 different Sony Halloween ones, and both of them I think I put the most effort into ever. Like there was just transitions for days. It was like smoke into like another smoke here, and like speed ramps and everything, and light leaks, all of that stuff. So they were my favorite ones, and I put a lot of effort into
like orange and teal grey.
100%. It's Halloween.
Also, the one you did at the Bentley one not too long ago, actually. The Castle Coombe one, was it not the
That's such a banger video. Oh my god.
The mission one.
Yeah, see, I thought that was all right, but like the one that's always like got me like mad hype is the Sony Halloween one. I think that's like my. I've made a couple more, and I'll probably have to go back and try and find them somehow, but. Yeah, I think Sony Halloween.
So now obviously you've been part of the team for, let's say, over 4 years. You know, you're not doing the video anymore. It's still like at all the events when you're here and stuff like that. But would you say that you still have a role? I have stepped back from the role a lot just because it went to a point where like I wasn't always massively enjoying the videos anymore. But that's just me, you know.
But that's just growth.
That's exactly. That's growth. You know, doing the same thing again and again. You know, ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is just when I was creating the videos, I never really got to talk to people because my videos are different from yours. You engage with the people, which is great, and I love it.
You made like after movies, right?
Exactly, and I never got to engage with people because I was always like, I need to film everything. I need to. And there's nothing wrong with that, but now I just enjoy talking to people more. Sometimes I'm on story mode because Mike likes the stories that I create sometimes. So
on the 1st of December 2020, you dropped your own brand, Dropcuts.
Good pun there, dropped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So tell us what is Dropcuts, or I guess what it was, and how did you lose way too much money? Or I guess how was your experience releasing a brand?
What I was going to say is it's not easy. to build something from scratch that not many people have heard of or know about. So Dropcuts was not a platform, it was a product that I designed along with my friend Matt Cousin. I brought him on, and it's a product to improve your workflow efficiency in Premiere Pro. For example, if you start up a Premiere Pro project and it's completely blank, you have to create all the bins, you have to maybe change your workspace, you have to have your own folder structure, or just create your own folder structure. I wanted to create something that set all of that up for you.
Yes.
So you have the folder structure. Within that folder structure, you copy and paste it for everything. You rename it, and then you have everything in there. Within that project folder, you have a Premiere Pro project file. And when you open that up, it already has a preloaded workspace that I've made for you. Inside you have like sound effects presets, so like low pass, high pass, very easy to like keyframe it. You just like make cuts, drag it on. It's just drag and drop basically. We had like export guides to make it easy for you to export for landscape.
Gareth using that.
I still use Dropcuts. But yeah, they were so handy, because for me at that time, that was lockdown, and I was making those TikToks, and I had no idea how to export like short form video, really, because it was kind of new, let's say. And yeah, they massively helped.
It is helpful, you know, like you don't want to have to create the reason I made those export guides is because for anyone that's familiar with Premiere Pro, and when you reformat videos, if you create a new sequence that's, for example, 9:16, if you nest that clip, you can't move it anymore because it's nested. So I was like, what do I do? Let me just create export guides so you can just see where it is. And they helped so much. They honestly helped a lot.
So how long before you released, before the 1st of December, when did the idea start? And how much time did you estimate it was going to take you, and did it take you that long?
To be way longer than expected. So I think I had the idea around May time.
Okay.
May, June, July, August, September. But yeah, about 7 months it took me, I think. That's what I remember myself saying. Like developing the product, it was pretty much just everything within Premiere Pro. So it didn't take too long, but it was the refinement process. There's different things, like for example, if I created a folder on my desktop, if I gave it to someone else, when they locate the file, it will come up with original path, Keenan, computer. And I wanted to remove all of that stuff. So there's a lot of like tweaking and changing the names of like my computer.
That's actually a good point. I didn't really think about
changing the names of my. It wasn't like a massive thing. Not like people would care, but it's like for me, I didn't want people to see like do you know what I mean? I didn't want people to see that it was Keenan. If anything, I wanted to be like Dropcuts or whatever. There was that, and then there was also the creation of the website, which me being me, I wanted to do it from scratch all by myself. I don't know why. I built it on Webflow. And Webflow is pretty much like visualized code. So it has everything that you build basically a website from scratch. But for example, if you create like a div box, you just drag it in rather than actually having to code it. So it's like visualized code. You just build it straight from scratch and you can do everything. And that took me months of work. I had no idea how to build a website. I had no idea how to build a back end of a website, how to build blocks. So it's just watching tons and tons of videos. The website was bloody sick. I can't even lie. At the end of it, I was like proper gassed.
I think I ever saw it.
You know, it was so nice. It's gone. But like there was just so much like in it that, you know, when you scroll on some websites, right? And you see like, for example, 3D moving things, we wanted to do that. So we had to get like 3D models and like animate it and then put it on the website. And then when uploaded, you realize that it doesn't work on Safari as well as it does on Chrome.
Oh my God.
So there's so many different formatting things. Then you have that. Then you have the mobile side and formatting it for mobile. And then formatting a website for widescreen. And then like learning about bounding boxes. There's just so much stuff to learn in website design that you don't think about when you build something on like Squarespace or something. I imagine like trying to implement a product and then the way people order and then making sure that the order confirmation emails go through correctly, setting up like the buttons that lead you to the checkout page or whatever. There's so much. That took me ages. Going off on a tangent right now, but
I'm guessing you invested quite a lot of money into it. What was the end goal, as in like, who were you targeting as the people that want to buy your product? Did you get like messages from people, oh, how do you do these things? And then you were just like, fuck it, let me just make it easy and do it? Or was it just almost like a personal project and you were hoping people would buy it?
Okay, yeah. So the reason was I had a lot of people, not a lot, but I did have a fair few people messaging me like, oh, how do you edit this? Or like, how do you get like this workspace? Or you know, how do you get the sound effect? And I was like, why don't I just make something that just people can just buy and download and they can just use it. So that was the reason for it. It's also something that I felt like I would have needed when I first started because, you know, learning how to create your own folder structure, which everything can be organized and, you know, that's easily copy and pasted. That still takes time and effort. So that was...
even people, when they're starting out, they don't know that you should even do that.
Exactly.
And then once someone tells you, then it changes your whole workflow.
Oh, yeah. And then also like creating a timeline that you don't realize is based on like 60 frames a second and your footage is 25. You export it and it's like, so it's like this and you're like, well, what's going on? Then you got to change it and then you realize all the warp stabilizer things completely gone wrong. The most money I spent was on the advertising. So we hired like an ads team.
Weren't they out somewhere else as well?
They were out in Dubai. Like, I don't know if they were like actually that bad. Sorry, that was a bit of an exaggeration. It's just because it's like, it meant a lot to me, you know. I spent, I think like 10 grand, I think, $10,000. You know, for someone like at that time as well, during lockdown,
that's a lot of
money that I had like saved up and went into it, you know, and I really believed in it. Yeah, had the ads going out basically, had a few people, you know, buy, but I think there was a lot of, the timing was wrong. I wanted to release on like December the 9th, which is like people really didn't have that much money at that time. You know, it's Christmas time. It was just a COVID year, so no one really had that much money. I think there's something else that happened as well. At that time, a ton of like LUT packs and preset packs and everything were releasing, and that's what everyone wanted because it was like a easy before and after to see what you could get, which I have no issue with. It was just very hard for me to create. Oh, also, what took a lot of time was creating the videos that we made. It took absolutely ages.
Fucking banger ads though. But I'm guessing that, let's say now, knowing what Dropcuts is about, for someone who's starting out and that was basically aimed for them, firstly, they don't want to spend, what, it was like $39?
It was $39. It was way too much money looking back on it.
But also they don't feel the need, right? Because you don't show them the before and after.
Exactly.
I feel like with the ads, they were incredible, but it was kind of like people that don't know they need it still didn't kind of know they need it, maybe, right?
Yeah, you only know
you need
it when you've gone through like every single one of those problems and you're like, you know.
Yeah. So people have been editing for a while already.
Yeah, it was it was like too niche of a target for something that was like too, like it wasn't enough of a need. Do you know what I mean? It was something that like I would have wanted as
but you wanted it through your experience of being a video editor.
Exactly.
The drawbacks of Premiere Pro
so
or whatever.
That was like kind of like my oversight kind of. It was like, yes, it actually might have been a really good product if I separated every single thing into different parts. Just charge like $1 or $2 for it.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
We'll dive into this in a little bit, but of course you're doing a Skillshare course. Can you implement Dropcuts and what you already have done 2 years ago, which is still incredible, for people that watch your Skillshare course and perhaps buy it?
I mean, kind of. Like, I've kind of dropped Dropcuts now. It's kind of like I've changed it into the company that I just operate under now. As a product, I still have it. And I can just have it on like a store, do you know what I mean? Separate the products into what people need. Because I think I packaged it into something that maybe not everyone needed this. And it's also kind of hard to sell because a lot of people were like, oh, there's actually one guy that reached out, was like, oh, I can make it all myself and I'll just sell it for cheaper. And I was like, okay, go do it then. And then he was like, oh no, I was just joking. I was like, well, why would you say that? Yes, you can create it if you wanted to. But it was that I've done all of that hard work for you. But then it was also kind of hard to tell people that. It was kind of hard to show people that I've created all the hard work for you. You should buy this. It was just way too expensive.
So if you did it again, what would you do differently?
I made lots of presets. If I did it again, I made lots of presets. No, honestly, if I did it again, probably try and utilize like my own following more. So at that time, I didn't have that many followers that wanted to see my work for what it is. So it's obviously a lot of lots of presets and stuff, like they're based on the person, you know what I mean, their style. But this Dropcuts thing, I wanted to create like a whole separate entity from myself, which was another hard obstacle to overcome. It was tough. So it was a very, very big learning curve. I learned a lot of kind of like business lessons, mistakes and stuff, and learned to not trust people so quickly just because they have like evidence of doing well in the past. And that was like the ads team and stuff. So, you know, I paid so much money for them. Like, it was already a red flag for me when they wanted to charge me like 1.3K a month, maybe 1.5K a month.
Damn.
And that's that's just paying them. That's aside from the actual ad money that I had to put in to pay for it. I'm not sure, but I think like a good ads team will charge you based on the revenue that you create because it's based on their performance, you know? I think that's fair. Because even if they make £1 million for you and they charge 10%, 100 grand for them. Easy. That's how I basically spent 10 grand. It was like 2-3 months. Oh, and then basically my ad account got banned for some reason. Not sure how. Really not sure how. It could have been because I logged in and tried to change something.
Was this through Facebook?
It's through Facebook, yeah. Maybe because I logged in, I tried to change something, or maybe because they were in a different country and Facebook thought that people were logging in from different countries. I gave them copy, like writing about the product. They messed it up. They had spelling errors, they had grammar errors. And I was like, I'm giving you this thing to put on there, to copy. It's called copy, to put copy and just put it on. And they messed it up. So I had to go in and change it because they were in Dubai and I'd reach out to them and they just wouldn't respond. So I don't know what actually happened. It could have been me logging in, but I felt like it was fine for me to log in because I gave them a job to do and they didn't do it.
Yeah, I think that was the time when you were, I sensed it wasn't going to plan, let's say. And I remember asking you like, what's happened?
Yeah.
And you sent me a voice note and you explained the whole Facebook situation.
Yeah, honestly.
It was a stress in a voice
note. It's stress, and Facebook is just like horrible. Horrible. I'm still restricted.
Let's take what is probably your only real, let's say, huge negative in your journey. And let's go back to a positive thing. And I think we know the answer to this, but what is your favorite project to date?
I think everyone knows this. It's my basketball video. I made it with Lumix. I made it with a guy called Farouk Balarabi. He's in Canada now, just smashing it. It's basically, I during lockdown, I was playing Call of Duty with my cousins all the time, all day, every day, pretty much. And I met this guy called Farouk, who was a friend of my friend called Kev. And he's just, I'm a basketball player. I was like, bro, I enjoyed playing a little bit of basketball recently. It's good fun. Maybe I'll make a video about you one day. And then I think fast forward a year after that, I messaged him and I said, I've got a project. Limits want me to make a video. They said I can do whatever I want.
That is sick.
Let's make a basketball video. And that was my favorite one. We put a lot of effort into it. We shot it all in a day.
The fact that was shot in a day, it's insane.
In a day.
That's a day's work.
A day's work and like 8 days of editing.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, it's just something about it. It makes me, it's a very like hype video. I would do things differently now. I would shoot it differently for sure. But like for the time that we had, for the setup that we were using, for the amount of kit that we had, and the number of crew that we had.
How many people were shooting that?
So it was me, Callum, Chris, Dean, and Spark. 5. That was it, 5. Obviously Farouk. So 6 overall, but 5 crew members.
And was that on the S5?
That was on the Lumix S5.
The transition, the ball transition.
Yeah, that was the one. The most simple thing. Simple.
But it just looks so clean.
Yeah.
It was so clean.
And it was like at the beginning of the video as well. So I was like,
you're onto a winner here. It's going to be a popcorn video.
In October 2021, I think, UK Shooters hosted an event and it was a panel talk where Keenan, Sam Newton, James Matthews and
Hiatus, I think,
presented their movies basically. I remember coming, that was like my 3rd UK Shooters event, and I remember like taking photos and I sent them to you the next day, I think. And you posted that on your 2nd Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I feel like I
re-edited it, didn't I?
You actually didn't.
No. Didn't I re-edit the profile picture?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I sent Keenan once a profile picture. He edited my edit. It's fine. How did you find actually presenting a movie? And you've also done panel talk with ViewSonic.
It's tough, I think. Okay. Like when you first speak in front of a group of people, not necessarily to like introduce them or something. It's to talk about yourself and talk about like advice. Oh man, I was pooing it. Like before, like Mike asked me, he's like, "You right, mate? Like, you good?" And my heart I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." It's like boom, 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 like just crazy. The thing I always remember is that, you know, there's always someone that's maybe a couple steps behind you that needs information that you have. You don't have to be a pro, as long as you're talking from experience and you're being honest about it. I really do like doing like talks in front of people. It's great, and my speaking has improved a lot. The first one you ever did actually was with UK Shooters at the photography show. Yeah, and we had like a whole script. Like me and Luke were pacing around our hotel room, just remembering. We like
But was
shit
this
in it.
just because you were panicking and you wanted to be prepared?
We wanted to be prepared, and it was our
Okay.
first ever talk. And you're talking about something about a company that's doing something for other people, so you want to make sure it's right. You don't want to just be casual about it. So Millie was just like pacing around the room, like, oh my god. And it got to it, and you could like hear us like trembling and stuff.
What we can take from this is that communication skills are very important.
Yeah,
Would you say they help you also get work?
100%, 100%. I think if you can communicate with the brand well, you can get better work. You can get paid more because you just sound more professional.
Yeah.
I think learning how to sound professional and learning how to like hold your own ground and learning how to negotiate is a massive part of it. Because yes, I could still be doing what I do now and maybe charging, $1,000 a video, and I'll get it. Or maybe I'd say there's a brand that says, we don't have $3,000 that you pitched, but we have 2. Most people just be like, yes, okay, cool. But how can you make your life easier from that? If they've cut you down, you can cut something down from their end, but making sure that you're still providing value. So for example, I'll just reduce a deliverable. I'll make the video shorter. Makes it, you're still going to get a good video. You're just getting a shorter one. So what do you think? So you get $2,000 for a shorter video, or else you would have done $2,000 for the exact same thing that you valued yourself at $3,000 for. Yeah.
Speaking of paid better.
Yeah. What would you say if you want to speak about your biggest paid project to date?
Paid one in terms of profit is the biggest job. So the biggest profit one was actually I created an explainer ad video for a fintech company. They were called Fast Checkout. They have since gone into like liquidation. They spent too much money apparently. Crazy story. One of the guys who worked at that company had seen the Dropcuts video a year prior and they really liked it. Then we jumped on a few calls and they're like, yeah, we want you to create an explainer video for us. I said, yes, cool. They're like, how much is it going to cost? And I think I charged them $15,000 for 2 videos. And didn't have to go out and shoot anything. I just stuck in my laptop and just edited kinetic typography. But it's not a thing to do with communication. I'm talking to a brand. I find out how much they're worth. I find out what my video is worth to them. Not what my time is worth. It's like, I could create the exact same video for Nike as I can for Shoe Zone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not going to charge Shoe Zone like 10 mil because they're not going to make 10 mil. But I could charge Nike 10 mil for the same video because they're going to make 10 bill. So it's like, what is it to them? So that's also part of it. So yeah. And then my other biggest one was ViewSonic, which is I created a commercial for them, but obviously don't profit as much because I had to spend pretty much like 70% of it on crew.
Was that the World Cup one you recently did?
The World Cup. Yeah.
So I guess what would be your number one tip when it comes to pricing yourself?
There's a number of different factors that I think that comes into pricing your work and making yourself valued. I think you have to take into consideration what it's worth to the company. Same thing with like going to a food at an expensive restaurant. Like, why are they charging more? Because maybe the cut of the meat is nicer. Maybe the presentation is nicer. The room that you're in, the restaurant that you're in is nicer. The chef has had more experience. So it's all of that stuff that comes into consideration. You just have to think about what you've charged in the past and charge more, because you can always increase your rates. And you don't have to think too much about yourself. Also think about the company that you're working for. How much is this worth to them? Are they going to use it on paid marketing channels? And if they are, they're going to be making money off of your video because they have money to put into your video. So if they say they only have £500, but they're going to put paid marketing and going to put $3,000 into that video, they don't have 500. They don't have $1,000. They don't have $2,000 to put into the video. So you have to think about what the value is to that other person, the company, who that company is, because that changes. Also your time as well, and also think about charging more than your previous project, because that's how you're going to grow. I think it's very tough without knowing, but each time you pitch, I think it should scare you a little bit. 100% should give you a little bit of it. Also, it shouldn't be just so out there that you're like, they're never going to accept. You just have to make sure that the way you say it doesn't sound too concrete, but it's kind of concrete. So you sound firm, sound very assertive with your rate, but also giving them the idea that maybe they can actually counter. Because there are times where you'll pitch and they'll be like, that's too expensive, we're going to go with someone else. And you're like, no, okay, maybe
I can do it for less.
I do it for less. So usually I'm like, the rate for this is $8,000. Let me know what you think. Would love to work something out with you. Something like that.
Always end it with something like that. Yeah.
Because then they're like, oh, okay, maybe he will work something out with us.
And if they don't respond, they're just rude.
If they don't respond, then they're probably not worth working with.
Speaking from my own experience, when you first start making, like, let's say for us, making videos and taking photos, right? It's always like, oh, how much can I earn? How much can I improve my life with this money? It starts being about you, because when you're learning, you're just thinking about yourself. But then you realize as you go along and you get better in your career, it always becomes about other people and how can you solve their problems using your own skills.
Like the money's great, but like, what are you going to do for that brand, company, person to make them better that would potentially lead to you making more money because they'll come to you again?
And the best thing is that the bigger the problems you solve, the more money you can make. And so, of course, this is why working with bigger companies, you can earn more money. So if anyone here's like, oh, I want to earn a bit more, maybe think about the people you're working with, because maybe some local lady doing something on the street won't pay you a lot of money than perhaps a restaurant.
It's true. The way I see it is like money is very relative. When I first started out, I was like, how the hell am I ever going to afford an Alexa? It's 40 grand. But now, like, I'm not considering it, but now I'm like, you know what, I can actually work for that, you know? Maybe in a couple of years, I can actually buy one and still like not be out of pocket for it. If a brand is happy to pay you money, regardless of what it is, and you provide a good video that they're happy with and they want to work with you again, why does it matter if you're overcharging? Why does it actually matter if a brand is willing to pay you 50 grand for a video, and if it's an okay video, but they're happy with it? I mean, whoever's going to do that's obviously crazy, but like, give me that client, I want it.
Also, just a quick plug. Check out Keenan's pricing guide, especially if you're a beginner, because 2 years ago, when I moved to London, I had no idea what I was doing. I came across Keenan's Instagram, which we're going to dive into just now. And he had in his bio pricing guide, and
this
he
was
broke
released
down
in conjunction with
Dropcuts.
Dropcuts.
It was to gain like email list.
Yes.
But that was so good. So it helped me a ton. It gave me so much confidence.
Because it's real life examples of
exactly
so many scenarios which creators will come across.
A 20-page guide goes into how to price yourself, or how I've priced myself, what things I come across and what things I bring up in a conversation with a client. And it's got, I think, like 4, 5 maybe 4 double page spreads of what I've charged every single client up until, I can't remember when.
For like 3 years, 2017 to 2020, I think.
It went from like, I don't know, like 100 quid a video, something like 50 quid maybe, to 10,000 for Lumix. So shows you that progression.
So then I guess in regards to jobs and social media, something that happened to you last year transformed your social media presence, let's say.
Has, yes.
And has led to many opportunities. Explain to people what happened.
So I created a viral reel that kind of sparked a little trend. A huge trend. There's a few people that created it, I guess. I didn't really meant to see every single person, but I created a kind of jumping reel where I jumped in the sky, landed, and the sunset was in a time lapse, and it was just going quickly. I was moving in like normal speed, slow motion, and it was a cool video basically. So created that, and it went viral. Hit 18.8 million views right now, which is the most viewed video on my channel. So yeah,
and that was one of 3 in total. Right?
Yes, that was
2 in Bali, 1 in Iceland.
So that's the second one. The first one was in Iceland. The first ideation of it, and I was in Vesterhorn. I still think that's my favorite one.
I think it's my favorite one. It's so good.
If only the sky was like a bit more colored, then I think it would have been the best one. But that was the first idea. I just jumped in the sky and had the vision of me pulling down the clouds as it rolled over the mountains. And then it did okay. It did quite well. People were still like quite gassed about it. But then I saw another opportunity in Bali. I was like, I want to create it here again. Sunset looks banging. I'm just going to make it proper saturated, whatever. I don't care. I just post it. And then it just like instantly blew up. It's crazy.
Like, I know how this feels from TikTok, but like Instagram, kettle of fish, I find, because it means something different to us, I think. How did it feel like your phone, just like your I guess that notification feed just never ending?
So how did it just feel going from 18K to 100,000 followers on Instagram in...
It's like a month and a half, 2 months, something like that, around that, I think I was at 23.2 when I posted it, I think. I can't lie, it's fun. Like, it is fun. You know, people would say like numbers don't really matter. It does matter in a sense. You know, it's just wild. Like when I first posted it, you know, like everyone has that kind of the average numbers that they get like an hour or whatever.
Oh, you know when it's gonna be.
So like, I was refreshing it. I was like getting comments, bro. I was like getting comments. People was like, what the fuck, what's this? I was having people that never like follow me, but never really commented on my work.
Yeah,
like,
then is good.
Like Rob Strock. Like I've never met him. Like he commented. I think I remember someone else commented.
He makes incredible videos.
Yeah, there was just a ton of people that were just like, "What is going on? This is nuts! Like this is crazy."
That is
and I just kept getting like random people being like, "Oh my god, this is wild," all that stuff. And I was like, "Whoa, it's kind of sick." And you know, like when you're refreshing the video. At this point, you know what the funny thing is? Before we went to Bali, Luke said to me, "Oh, Keenan, you're going to hit 50k this trip." And I was like, "There's no way. There's no way I'm hitting 50k. There's no way." And he's like, No, you're going to hit 50k. We're going to like create some cool stuff. And you're going to post it." I was like, "Sick, whatever." You know, like the Instagram thing like maxes out on like 100 likes, 100 follows. Like every single like maybe like couple of minutes, I'd refresh it and it'll be like 100. And I was like, bloody hell. I was like, this is crazy. This is mad. It honestly was like, it was a very nice feeling because it was something that I actually genuinely enjoyed creating. I mean, I remember at the time I hated Reels. I'm not sure if you guys know.
Yeah. You told us, yeah.
I flipping hated Reels only because it was like...
It was forcing that short form angle, right?
It was forcing that short form angle of people that I felt like almost... Okay, it's from my perspective as a videographer. I was like, I don't feel like they deserve that. And there's people just being like, and they're just putting like one photo edit on. And like, you know what, people doing it, it's fine. I understand. Like, I would have done it if I wasn't a video guy. Do you know what I mean? But just seeing those people get like millions of views or whatever. And I was like,
just like of the sky or something.
There's like, or like just nothing. A simple phone clip.
Just a before and after or whatever. Yeah.
You know what? Fair enough. Those people, they jumped on the bandwagon, jumped on the train and it paid off. And I'm like, you know, for you guys, good. But for me, it was like, I spent so much time creating these crazy videos, all this stuff, or just so much time and putting effort in. And then some guy that just comes a nice sunset. And then it's like, boom.
It comes with a sort of, you feel like a responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember this making Lightroom videos. I felt, oh, they were doing really well. I was like, I have to make more. And I would run out of ideas. And like, people would message me, where videos are.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Still get messages on TikTok.
Yeah, and it's like, you know...
You feel like that's all you're good for.
Yeah. And you feel like, oh, there's more to me. I want to do something else or whatever. But like, in, let's say, this kind of video where it's to anyone watching it, you know how to make it, right? You know what goes into it. But, you know, people watching it as like a masterpiece, right? And you can't make that every single day.
Exactly.
So like, what pressure comes with that and how did that feel? Like, expectancy to make those videos, I guess.
It was weird because I usually don't get that kind of feeling too much where I have to like, oh, I have to create. You know, like I don't post on Instagram that much. I don't get that kind of like peer pressure to create. However, in this sense, I think I must have posted like a photo or something shortly afterwards and it just didn't tank. It just wasn't good at all. Like it was just normal average. And at that point I realized that the followers is cool, but it's people that want to see that video specifically. Yeah. That's all they are. Yeah. So like they're not following me for...
Do you know what else I can do? Like 100 things.
Like they're not following me for me. They're following me for that video and that style. So that's the kind of negative like, hey, hell man, I'm going to have no elbow by then. That's what comes with creating something like that does go viral is that the people that, you know, are browsing your Instagram feed or whatever are looking for that sort of content. So you do feel like you have a responsibility to create something similar to that. The way I dealt with it was not creating anything. I should have done. If I did, I know that I would have done something like it would have done well, but I also wanted to. You're
not someone that rushes content either.
No, but I also knew that each time I wanted to one-up myself. I always have to one-up myself. I can't create something that's like worse than the last post. The fear of someone saying the other one was better, and then you put work in it, you're like, oh, you crazy? That's mad. So,
I was talking about the Ice video, that one. It was better.
I mean, me and Luke were planning like loads of different ideas. We had like crazy ideas of like, oh, imagine if like we got Ronaldo or something like in the stadium and he'd go like this and like everyone would appear, something like that.
I commented like Cristiano like, so many times because you were like, let's tag Ronaldo.
It would never have happened. We were just dreaming big. Like it was fair enough. Yeah, it was fun and we had loads of ideas on how to one up ourselves, but we just never like fully did it. I actually had 2 more attempts at creating the video. I wanted to do one where I was reversing a waterfall. So I'd jump on I wanted to backflip off. When I landed in the water, the waterfall would go backwards. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to do that. So that would have been cool. But I filmed it wrong. And then the second time I was in Korea and it was a really cool view, but it wasn't cool enough. And I was too far away from myself to mask out.
How do you feel in situations like that where, you know, when you have an idea in your head?
Are you like frustrated when it like
doesn't come off? Because I hate that with me, and like maybe putting them into process is quite complex.
Especially you see someone that doesn't ever get like frustrated, really. So
I do though when I'm editing sometimes. Yeah, you don't want to see me when I'm frustrated. I'm like, I'm like, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just no, I'm not fine. No, I do. Sometimes I look at it. I'm like, have I lost my touch? Have I lost my touch?
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. But I do get frustrated when things don't work because I tried to edit one of them. I tried to edit one of them twice and one of them 3 times, and it just doesn't play out. Yeah. And to me, sometimes it's frustrating because you're like, you spent all that time trying to film this or whatever, and exporting it, importing it, all of that stuff.
Because the waterfall one, I'm guessing that's like
that would be sick. Though.
Yeah, that's like an idea that you're there.
Yeah.
With the idea, you want that to come off. Like it needs to work.
It needs to work.
But you need to know almost when you filmed it, okay, I'm gonna bang this into it and I'm gonna edit it and it's gonna be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
For that not to happen is a kick in the balls.
There's just too many variables that I needed to control that I just couldn't do. So who knows?
Not the weatherman you thought you were.
Not the weatherman, no. I had another idea that I really wanted to do is go to like the Arches National Park. You know, where the art we'll stand in the arch, do the jump as a silhouette, and the stars go like, it would be sick.
That's insane.
But I wasn't a national park, so yeah, that would be a cool idea. But we'll see, maybe in the future.
What about some of the positives coming from going viral on Instagram? How did you experience that? Of course, you've now landed 2 incredible big jobs, working with Skillshare and becoming a Samsung ambassador. Which, congrats again! Woo, let's go, Keenan!
Thank you.
Tell us about that.
You know, numbers does matter at times. Yeah, it does matter. You know, it gives you more of a presence. I'm not going to say it's the only thing that matters, but it has helped. You know, you have a bigger presence, and creating those videos has put me on the radar of, I think, not a lot of people, but I think it's just put me on the radar because it just shows that I can create something that does go viral, you know? Yeah. So it has got me work, you know, for Skillshare. I think that's what my Skillshare course is all about. It's all about masking, and that's where it's come from. It's come from that. Real. That real. Me doing it.
Views has paid off.
Yeah, 18 million views, which is kind of mad. Yeah. And a lot of people like trying to recreate it, which I'd love. I love seeing people recreate it. I think it's
so cool.
Some people also did a great job.
Some people did a really good job. Yeah, I remember a guy called, I think it's Thomas Petrus or something. I think he's actually got quite a few jobs from doing the recreation of my one. And he's actually thanked me for it in a podcast, which I really appreciate.
You shared about it on your story.
Yes,
which was very sweet. So shout out to him as well.
Shout out, bro. Yeah, so yeah, it has got me work. It hasn't got me like tons of like inquiries and stuff because it is quite a niche kind of, but fruitful. You know, it just shows that I can be, you know, for the Samsung ambassadorship, it just shows I can be a mobile content creator. Most of my reels now like are shot on my phone, which is crazy. It's just, how have I shot this stuff on my phone? You know, people don't believe it, but you know,
with all this big equipment and wanting to buy an Alexa and filming reels.
I'm just feeling this. So yeah, it has got me work, and I'm very, very like thankful for it. And I think, you know, same with you know, kind of on TikTok and stuff, gets you work. Yeah. And it does, basically, it's just nice to know that your hard work has paid off. Yeah. That's what it is.
What I was explaining recently to other people, and I think I said it to you, but it's like that puts you in a box of, that's what you're remembered for. And do you want to be remembered? As my whole thing is, what do you want to be remembered for as a creator if you go viral? Yeah. Do you want to be remembered for before and after, or pointing at the sky, or do you want to be remembered for something that you like? For starters, something that you're interested in making and you're passionate about, or is your own thing.
When it comes to, let's say, working with Skillshare and Samsung, do you remember getting this, let's say, Samsung email? Like, how does that feel? And also, how do you go about pricing something like that is so huge, right?
Out of the blue. Weird. Like, so when I got the email, it was just a very, very simple email saying, my client wants to work with you. Are you available? I said, yes. That's cool. Little project. I'm down. And we jumped on a call, and it was a 12-month, like, high-level commercial ambassadorship. And I was like, I was on the call, like on the FaceTime, on Zoom with the guy. I was like, yeah, this is cool. And so I'm like, what? So, and when it goes to pitching something like that, that's, I don't know. I think that's just experience, honestly. Yeah. And really valuing yourself and understanding, you know,
What can you bring to the table?
What you can bring to the table.
Who they are.
To the fact, you know, like when you're working with a brand like this, you have exclusivity.
Yeah.
You can't work with any other like brand that competes with them. So you have to take into consideration, what if you were to get reached out to by one of these tech brands whilst you're on this thing?
Yeah.
How much would you charge for that video? So you have to think about that. You know, how much, would you make a month from this? 2, how much you're going to charge for each piece of content that you deliver?
Yeah.
And 3, like being an ambassador, you have to endorse them.
Yes.
You have to pretty much just, you have to be like their, almost like their biggest salesman at times.
Yeah.
So that's also something you have to charge for. And then 2, I spoke to Mike and G, Mike Visuals and Georgia Ma. Yeah, Mike Gray. Like, speak to him pretty much every day, and I trust both of their judgments on kind of pitching and rates and stuff. And they're always very, very honest with me, and I really appreciate that. So I spoke to them. I said, "Hey guys, I have this. This is kind of what I'm happy with, but like,
what do you think?
But I think that I'm going to go with this." And then they said, "I think you should go for that as well." And then, you know, we came up with a kind of response that kind of allowed us to go either higher or lower depending on like the exact requirements.
Yeah.
And then I just add another 5K on top right at the end, just a good measure. And you know, they came back, they did cut me down. They were like, "This is what we have." And I said, "Okay, well, if you want to do that, then I'm going to cut down the deliverables from 25 to 18. They said, maybe want a little bit more. Can you give us a package option? So I gave them a package option, and they went in the middle of that. So
sick.
So that's what I got with, yeah.
And it's amazing, kind of like for anyone watching this, especially even if you're starting out, no matter what level you are, asking your friends or just people in the industry how much they're charging, and being open about talking how much you charge, so then you can kind of expect other people to give you advice on how much they charge. Because you've helped me so much. Let's say I still have work that I get, and I send Keenan a voice note and I'm like, "This is what I'm thinking. Just let me know if that's cool." And then you can perhaps give me a bit of confidence, and you can be like, you remind me, "Oh, but this is who they are. This is what you're going to be doing for them. This is how much time it's going to take you." So it's always good to just be surrounded by like-minded people.
Yeah. Some people don't like saying it, which is weird, which is fair enough. I think it's fair enough.
But it's always better to communicate.
If you're open to talk to someone about a certain thing, they'll be open to talk to you about that certain thing, right? So talking about money and business and all that stuff that goes into it, it's sick, because like you're making money, your friends are making money, everyone's happy, and you can, I don't know, travel together and make some more content.
I think a lot of people are scared to talk about it because they might be thinking, "Oh, like, why is he charging so much?"
Yeah.
Or maybe he's charging too little. But as I said earlier, like, what does it matter if you can get a brand to pay you that much money and they're happy with it?
Yeah.
If they're not happy with it, then you know. But yeah, if they're happy with it, then like, that's sick. Do you know what I mean? It's cool that you're getting this much money. It's like, mate, go get your bag. Go do your thing. You deserve it, because like, you know, you're a close mate of mine, or you're a friend, or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna tell just every like Jimmy on the street. You know what I mean? Just like, "Oh yeah, like, I'm making like this much money a video." They don't care. But you know, for friends, you want them to do well, and people, especially who are starting out, like, they need to know.
Yeah.
And it's always good to earn a little bit more money, because literally money makes the world go round.
Literally.
Unfortunately, but it's true.
So I guess, talking of the world, what's next?
Bali is next. Yeah.
Bali Take 2.
Bali Take 2. Was meant to get into Bali single and work on my life. That didn't happen. Yeah, Bali's next. Traveling and just using Bali as my home. I'm not just going to be there like forever. We got a villa for a year, and we're going to use that as just like a cheaper place to live as opposed to London, and also a place that we can hang out and actually have a very, very good like way of life. You know, we're going to be at gym, basketball and stuff all day. So, and that's just kind of what we want. And I think working for, 6 years, doing this whole thing, living at home, never going to uni, and not experiencing that lifestyle, being able to live on my own with my friends, I think it's something that I really do kind of deserve or need. Absolutely. I just need to try out. So we're out in Bali for a year. Just going to be hanging out, vibing,
Living it, kicking it.
Living it, kicking it, yeah. So
who are you going with?
I'm going with Luke, Mike, and Georgia.
Amazing.
All the people that I mentioned. We know a few people out there. You guys are hopefully going to be coming out.
Yes.
We definitely will.
At some point. So, yeah, just going to be out there, just chilling, having fun. And I think having a little bit of a chilled out lifestyle. You know, past maybe 2 years ago, and then the 4 years before that was like hustle.
Yeah.
Like so much hustle. And, you know, it's paid off. So I'm very fortunate to be able to allow myself to fund myself to travel to a new country and just
have a good time.
Piss about, yeah.
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 What a way to end this.
Thanks, TYC. My name is Keenan Lam. You can find me on Instagram at Keenan Lam, and you can find me on YouTube at Keenan Lam with a TV on the end. But if you search up Keenan Lam, you'll probably see me. And that is, you might see me on TikTok this year. Who knows? Who knows?
He said he's doing TikTok. He said this is his aim for this year.
Said, but who knows what might happen, you know.
I feel like you're going to do it.
Yeah. Actually, another thing, what's next this year? I want to learn how to make music. I want to learn how to make music. So
amazing.
Maybe you'll see Keenan Lam on SoundCloud.
Keenan is an incredible singer. He posts some like beats on his back and
I'm not
Instagram.
that good. I'm okay.
No, you are very good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yes.
So, Keenan, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, that was fun. Actually, our first episode of TYC, Trust Your Choices.
Maybe I'll be back in the future, you know what I mean? Like full circle again. I'm just saying that because I like it. I want to be back.
I love this. But yes, I'm Teja.
I'm Gareth.
And that was Trust Your Choices. And follow us on Trust Your Choices basically everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You're watching this on YouTube probably, Spotify, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you
on the next one.
Yes. Peace.
Oh, damn.